The NBA Finals are off and rolling. The Cup's back home in Tampa. Euro Final is set for Sunday, and the Nationals right around the corner. Welcome to Two-Way Takes. Welcome, everybody, to Two-Way Takes, episode number 2. I'm your host, Matty V, joined by my producer and younger brother, Producer Mitch. How was your week, buddy?
Hey, it's going pretty well. How about yours?
Not bad. Another big week in sports and collectibles to cover this week. Obviously, going to start off with the NBA Finals. To kick things off, Game 2 tonight. Game 1 was over on Wednesday. What have you been up to this week? What did you get into?
Got into some cards, man. Some card collecting on a new game called Flesh and Blood. It's pretty cool. The esports scene is alive and well right now. Big tournament for Counter-Strike going off in Germany, so that's pretty cool.
Nice. Producer Mitch is our resident esports expert and big-time savant in the niche markets of the collecting world. So it's nice little cross-reference we have here between the mainstream aspects that we cover and Producer Mitch's segment. But all right, let's get it into headlines with the NBA Finals. So, Game 1, Wednesday night, Suns and Bucks. Another huge night for CP3. Another huge night. Led the Suns to another big win. 32 points, 9 assists, and a super efficient 63% shooting. Guy's been absolutely incredible. Guy has been so good in the playoffs, been just everything that I think Chris Paul fans throughout the years have wanted him to be. And he's getting so much help from that Suns team. That Suns team looks so good. Obviously, a counterpoint story would have been the return of Giannis. I don't think a lot of people really thought he was going to be ready for the start of the series, although there were some grumblings that he would have been ready to go for Game 7 against the Hawks. Should have come down to that. Again, CP3 and the Suns clicking on every cylinder for that team right now. So big 118-105 win against CP3 with 32 and 9. And DeAndre Ayton, man, that guy has been playing his ass off. I really do think, I know we posted it on our socials, I really do think we may be watching a superstar just blossom before our eyes right here. Ayton with 22 points, 19 boards, absolutely cleaning the glass, and 8 for 10 from the field. So not only has he been filling up the stat lines, he's also been super efficient doing it, which has been really, really important against a Bucks team that has a lot of different weapons, has a lot of different ways to beat you, but the Suns just super efficient right now. I mean, you look at them even from the free throw line. I think they were 23 of 25 or 24 of 25 in the last game. It's a big series. Producer Mitch, you watch any of the game on Wednesday?
Had to, man. Had to.
Tuesday, rather?
Yeah, I'm glad I tuned in to see DeAndre Ayton just scoop everything up, man. It was insane. He had like 15 rebounds or something like that?
19
rebounds, man. Insane.
So it's going to be interesting. Game 2 tips off tonight, actually, in just about 20-30 minutes or so. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what the Bucks can do to try and slow the Suns team down. So I really do think, there's a lot of talk today on, Giannis's health, obviously, and what can the Bucks do to, not drop 2 games in a row? In my opinion, Suns take the game tonight. It's going to be borderline. I would say Suns in 6 at best for the Bucks, if not in 5. Really a pivotal game here for the Bucks. One thing that we want to talk about is just talk about what the Bucks need to do to put a winning recipe in tonight. I really think one of the things that they need to do, they need to stay out of foul trouble. You saw Giannis with 5 personal fouls in that first game. Also, try and get to DeAndre Ayton early. I think one of the most underrated storylines so far in the past couple of games is, you saw Dario Saric out with, I think it was ACL or MCL injury. If you look at the bigs behind Ayton, if Ayton comes out of that game early, I mean, you're probably looking at someone like Frank Kaminsky to come in and have to play serviceable minutes in an NBA Finals game. You have to think, guys like Giannis and even Brooks Lopez at that point will feast on that. So I really think the Bucks got to get into the paint. They got to get into the paint. They have to slow the game down, get Chris Paul out of a rhythm, and really try and get some of the Suns' bigs into some foul trouble to get Ayton out of that game. I think that has to be a focal point early on for them, and just better efficiency, man. Better efficiency. Looking at the box score from game 1, you look at Drew Holiday, who you're going to get defense out of him. You're going to get defense out of him. You're going to get some of that dog work rate on the other end of the floor, but you need him to contribute on the offensive end. 4 for 14 from the field, 0 for 4 from 3, a minus 16 plus minus is not going to cut it. I mean, he threw in 9 dimes, just great, but to only get 10 points out of him, I know he airs more on the defensive side of the ball. That's where a lot more of his skills lie, but you cannot have your starting guard, if he's going to chuck up 14 shots, he's going to need to be closer to that 40 to 50% field goal percent. 4 of 14 is not going to cut it. That, and looking back, you look at the free throw percentage. 56% from the charity stripe for the Bucks. Really unacceptable. When you look, 9 for 16, that's 7 free points swinging the other way. In a 13-point game, I know towards the end the Suns opened it up, but in a 13-point game, you need to make those free throws. It changes every possession. Being down 7 in the last 2 minutes and being down 3 or 4 in the last 2 minutes, that one possession, that changes the entire flow of the game. So
you said it was 63%, the foul percentage?
Free throw percentage, 56.3. The Bucks were in game 1. Yeah, 56% from the line, which is, let's see, Giannis was 7. A lot of that's Giannis, to be honest with you. 7 of 12. I know they have the whole countdown or counting up whenever Giannis is at the line for how long he takes, which is admittedly kind of funny. Bucks just got to be more efficient overall. I do think that they very much are still in this series. Just really, you have to stay out of foul trouble if you're Giannis. You have to try and force Ayton into some bad defensive positioning. That's pretty much it. We'll see how the game goes tonight. We'll see how it impacts some card prices too. Been looking at the card prices for guys like Giannis and guys like Chris Paul. Obviously, we talked about it a little bit last week on the show. So I was chatting it up with a few buddies earlier on this week. And we were asking, who does a title benefit more in terms of the hobby? And I think it's unequivocally Giannis. Unequivocally, it's Giannis. Specifically because you look at the longevity still remaining in Giannis' career compared to Chris Paul. Chris Paul, obviously, he's already a Hall of Famer. There's not a whole lot more he can do. Obviously, a ring would be phenomenal, and it helps kind of put to bed some of those past demons he's had. The collapse against OKC, the collapse against Houston, in Houston rather. It sort of helps to put to bed a lot of that stuff. But you look at Giannis, 2 MVPs in the last 3 or 4 years. He gets a ring all before the age of, I think he's only 24, 25, maybe 26. So, you're looking at a ring that early with many more years of domination in this league. I think that the ring is much bigger for Giannis than it is for Chris Paul long term. And another thing to consider is that
whose card price goes up higher.
That's definitely Giannis. Definitely Giannis. Giannis alone, like you look at the high end rookies that are available for Giannis. Chris Paul doesn't have immaculate or national treasures cards. He doesn't. Chris Paul has his tops, chromes, the upper decks, and all that stuff. But in terms of high end rookie cards, Giannis has NT cards. He's got immaculate cards. Those nice on card are the rookie patch autos. Those are just a much more desirable upper echelon type card and compared to Chris Paul. So I would say that's a secondary reason why a ring, in terms of strictly speaking from the hobby perspective, I think the ring would definitely benefit Giannis a little more. But we'll see how that all shakes out tonight. Really looking forward to that one. As soon as we're done with the show, should be able to hop in, catch the end of the first half, and beyond there. Next headline, though, a big one in my realm of the world, is the Euro final The 2020 Euro final is set. Very excited. It's going to be coming this Sunday at 3 p.m. from Wembley Stadium. It's going to be Italy and England squaring up. So we saw the semifinal this week, Italy versus Spain, and then we saw England versus Denmark. Just the Italy-Spain game, a little bit of a snooze fest in the first half. I'm not going to lie. It opened up a little bit. I mean, the Chiesa goal was awesome. The Morata goal was, I mean, say what you want about Morata. That goal, that little ticky-tacky up and around the box, really, really nice work from the Spaniards. The Italians would eventually advance on penalty kicks. On an absolute, did you see Jorginho's goal, the penalty that won it?
No, I missed that one. I missed the PKs.
You got to check. We posted it up on our Instagram page. If you guys haven't watched it, head on over to the Two Way Takes Instagram and just watch the final. This guy's got to have ice water running through his veins to take the step like this. And credit to Taylor Twellman, who, love him or hate him, he called it. Jorginho does this little skip step right before he strikes the ball and just absolutely freezes the keeper. Just totally freezes him and just tucks it. It's beautiful. It's so cheeky. Absolutely. Head over to the Two Way Takes Instagram at Two Way Takes and take a look at that. It's like the second or third post back. So good. But yeah, I mean, it'll be a really, really interesting final. Italy obviously advances out of that first leg of the semifinal. England, Denmark out of the second semifinal. England goes through also on a PK. Now, it doesn't go 2 PKs, but on a PK that decided the game. Can't help but just laugh at the fact that England knots the game up after the Danes took an early lead on another own goal in this tournament. So I know we talked about it last time. There were 9 own goals going into the quarterfinals. This tournament alone, there were 9 own goals, and there had only been 9 own goals in the entire history of the tournament, dating way back to the early 1900s. And there was another one, a ball played in hard from Raheem Sterling and just knocked in by a Danish defender. Kind of wild. There's a really, really funny tweet saying that own goal now being aggressively signed for transfer by PSG for like 220 euros. It's really, really funny. And then later on in the match, Sterling goes down again in the box, really controversial, kind of ticky-tacky call. Harry Kane steps up, gets the penalty saved, and then puts in his own rebound, and that was it. That was already late into extra time for the English. So England moves on against Italy. That's going to be a really fun match. That's going to be a really, really fun match just because of all the attacking power on each side. You look at some of the attacking players up front for Italy, guys like Ciro Immobile, Insigne, who's looked so good, Chiesa, who's been good, who scored an absolute screamer. And the Italians play with such good flair, such good poise. They play with a purpose. That back line just really, really hunkers down. It's a fun team to watch. It's a fun brand of football to watch. And as much as I've hated on England, I should rescind that. As much as I've hated on Gary Southgate and how he's managed England, I've been one of his loudest critics in terms of the lineups he puts out and whatnot. The England team that we've seen over the last 2 or 3 games, I think is the England team that we were all soccer fans were really imagining and hoping for in the tournament. I mean, you see like Bukayo Saka looking so good out wide. Sterling's looked like what Raheem Sterling's done in years past over at Man City. Even guys like Mason Mount, Harry Kane scoring goals. You know, he's coming back a little more into like the attacking midfield area to receive the ball, set up play. They're clicking everywhere, and I really do think it's going to be a great clash. I have a feeling it could be a little cagey in the first half, but I think as soon as one team scores, hopefully we get a goal in the first half to open things up. I think once one team gets on the score sheet, it really opens things up. It opens up play for a lot of the creative midfielders on England, a lot of the creative forwards on the Italian side. And I think it could be a really, really fun final. And, I mean, you have to think of the tons of combinations that could have happened. This has to be one of the top combinations, top finals that UEFA was hoping for. I mean, you get 2 major nations, England, who just on the battle cry of it's coming home. Gotta really enjoy that. on Sunday at 3. So one thing I didn't want to touch on for that is just do a quick little rookie card watch, actually, for that game. So there's a couple guys on either side of the ball, particularly on the England side, more on the England side than on the Italian side. But a couple guys I wanted to touch on really quick for some of the collectors out there. First guy for England who's been getting time. I know he hasn't been in the lineup every single game. The first guy was Mason Mount. Mount already won the Champions League this past year with Chelsea in May. So this would be a really big double. And surprisingly, you can still find his 1920 Topps Chrome Sapphire rookie card for a very reasonable price. It's up about 7% right now in the last 30 days. And I think a strong performance out of him. He should see the starting 11 lineup for England in the final. If a strong performance out of him comes, you can probably see a boost for that. The domestic league startup is not that far away, and you know he's going to feature again for England in the upcoming World Cup cycle. I think he's a guy to watch. PSA 10s of that Topps Chrome Sapphire pop 77. Only 77 PSA 10s. That's very low, and the last one sold for $333. I think there's some opportunity there. Sapphire, this is the first year that Topps Chrome did a Sapphire product for Champions League. It wasn't a very high print run. I think that's a good buy. Anytime you get a card with a pop under 100 in the double digits, that's a good buy for PSA 10. The second, Bukayo Saka. The guys look tremendous. To be honest, it's been kind of a surprise that he's been getting as much time, for me anyway, that he's getting as much time as he is playing out wide and up front for England. I thought Foden and Sancho might have cut into some of those minutes. But Saka seems to have, he seems to have the favor of Southgate, and rightfully so. I mean, he set up the own goal that Denmark put in, was that hard whip ball in from Saka on that right wing side, right into the box that Sterling probably would have tucked away anyway. And he's been really good. He's been really effective. He's been making really good runs on and off the ball. If you watch him away from the ball, he's finding spaces into certain halves on the pitch. He's looked really effective. And I mean, he plays for a top flight team in Arsenal. Well, some would argue against the term top flight and Arsenal in the same sentence, but that's a whole nother episode we could do on that. But plays for Arsenal, one of the larger teams out in England. And he's been a key. I mean, you have to believe, same thing as Mason Mount, that he's going to be in on that English national team for years to come at bare minimum for the upcoming World Cup cycle, especially if they bring it home. They bring home this final. That's huge, Cards to look out for him would be his 2021 EPL Prism card. He's featured in there, and also in this recent release of Panini Mosaic. So look for him. A couple little honorable mentions for England. You could look for Phil Foden, Jadon Sancho. On the Italian side, I'm looking at the 2018-2019 Donruss rated rookie of Federico Chiesa. Chiesa is undeniably the young up-and-coming star, I think, for that Italian side, which is funny. He wasn't really getting a ton of minutes early on in the tournament. He was sort of in and out. I'm not sure if Mancini was kind of toying with his lineup, trying to find who he favors in certain spots, just trying to find the right flow. But, man, he's looked so good and so creative over the last few games for the Italians. 2018-2019 Donruss is the product that you'd find his rated rookie card out of. And there's a couple things I like about that. First off is, for those of you who aren't familiar, the rated rookie, sign, the rated rookie logo, it's synonymous with just a classic rookie card amongst collectors. That font, that branding, it's a tried and true brand. It's something that all collectors will go to for multiple sports, and soccer is no different. So to have that is great, especially considering that a lot of soccer products didn't have an RC stamp until recently. Also, 18-19 Donruss is the only product you can find his Optic and Optic Holo rated rookies in. Those are short print because Optic did not have a standalone product, unlike in certain football, basketball, and baseball years. So that would definitely be one to keep an eye out for the Italians. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Harry Kane. Harry Kane, his 2016 Prism Euro card, very hard to find, super low pop on that, and the guy's he's scoring goals. He's scoring goals for England like everyone thought he should. So very much looking forward to that game on Sunday. See how that shakes up. It's gonna be a fun one. Definitely gonna be a fun one. But that being said, I think we got to move on to the next headline, which is going to be the Stanley Cup Finals, which wrapped up last night. Tampa Bay takes down Montreal 4-1, and that's,
Go Tampa!
Go Tampa is right. Just what a series! I cannot say what a series from Vasilevsky. So Vasilevsky, the Tampa Bay goalie, brings home the Conn Smythe, and I mean, really, it was on his back that they just ran through. I mean, obviously Tampa's got such a good roster, up and down regardless, but Vasilevsky really put the team on his back, especially in the finals. They, gutted out a win last night to bring home the cup. And just for comparison, right? When afterwards, when they were doing the Conn Smythe presentation, all that, they showed his numbers for the playoffs, right? So Vasilevsky obviously led the entire playoffs in save percentage at .937, and his goals against at 1.9, ridiculous, accompanied by 5 shutouts. Now, for reference as to how historically significant that is, I actually went back. And if you look at the past 50 years, all right, the last 50 years of phenomenal goalie play in the playoffs, this is the company Vasilevsky is now with. So we'll go in chronological order. 1975, Hall of Famer Bernie Parent winning the cup with a goals against of 1.89, only a tenth of a percentage off of Vasilevsky, save percentage of .424, and 4 shutouts. To make it crazy, that might be even crazier, because in 75, I don't know when the last time you guys watched highlights from 1970s hockey was. 75, they were not wearing big pads. They weren't. The pads were minimal. They basically looked like a baseball catcher between the pipes. So kudos to Bernie Parent on that one. But obviously, Hall of Fame level stuff. A more comparable one, 2001, was Patrick Waugh with the Colorado Avalanche. So, and that was a .934 save percentage. So Vazzy actually had him by a third of a percent there, and a 1.7 goals against average. Absolutely ridiculous. One of the greatest playoff runs in history for Waugh in 2001 for the Avalanche. It's a 23-game run. He faced 622 shots. So he's right up there with that. 2003, Martin Brodeur, .934 save percentage. So again, a couple ticks lower than Vasilevsky. 1.65 goals against average, which is a little better than Vasilevsky, but still ungodly. And 7 shutouts, an NHL all-time record, 7 shutouts for Marty. One thing there, he did face one of the lowest amount of shots. I mean, that defense in front of him, anchored by Scott Stevens, who killed pretty much everything that came across the blue line, was absolutely ridiculous. But nevertheless, I mean, you're looking at 3 Hall of Famers. And then I'd be remiss if I didn't absolutely tip my cap. And yeah, you knew this was coming for all my New England fans. The 2011 run by Tim Thomas. So the stat that stuck out here was Timmy in 2011, that Bruins Cup run, faced 849 shots, the most in a playoff run in NHL history. Let me say that again, 849 shots. Brodeur and Waugh faced 622 and 623 apiece. He faced 200-plus more shots and still recorded a save percentage of .940. .940 and a goals against of 1.96 with 4 shutouts. 2 of them coming in the Stanley Cup Finals against the Canucks. Obviously, all of those performances are all-time, top-tier, upper echelon performances from goaltenders in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And Vasilevsky's right there with him, man. I mean, when you sort of stack up the numbers against those Hall of Fame performances, it really kind of puts it into perspective how good he really was. I mean, even Nikita Kucherov in his shirtless presser after they won the cup, I mean, he said it. He said they won it on the back of Vasilevsky. I mean, he was the best player in that entire playoff series, in the entire playoffs, in the entire NHL. Just big kudos to Tampa. That's now 3 cups for them since the year 2000. Ties them with Pittsburgh for the most cups this millennium. And not for nothing, but how about Tampa winning the Super Bowl, winning the Stanley Cup? Can the Rays kind of pull a little something together? I don't know. They're doing their best Boston impression, though. So, honestly, gotta Gotta give them some credit for that. So congrats to Tampa Bay. Really, really enjoyed seeing them beat the pants off the Canadians. Although I am still upset. I will say, I'm still very upset that we didn't get a Bruins. This is one of the first times, and maybe the only times, depending on if the NHL realigns, that we could have possibly seen a Bruins-Canadians Stanley Cup final, which would have taken at least 6 years off my life. But my God, that would have been absolutely amazing. But we'll see. Maybe they keep the that Canadian division fully intact next year. We'll see what happens. Last headline we have, and this is a good one for the collectors as well, is the National Card Convention coming up this month. It's at the end of the month here in Chicago. So for those of you who aren't familiar, the National Card Convention is the largest collection of geeks and sports collectors in the world who come together once a year. It was canceled last year, obviously due to COVID, but it is the largest sports memorabilia and sports card convention in the world. It's absolutely magnificent. I will be there, wheeling, dealing, probably do a little something for the stream as well, live from the Chicago Convention Center. So what's really cool about that I'm really excited is every year at the National, you typically see market precedents get set. There'll be word of big deals. You'll see certain trends in terms of the buying and selling, what cards are getting really hot. It's a really good litmus test, so to speak, of where the market is going and where the market currently is. So I think it's going to be really healthy. I think it's going to be really healthy for a lot of collectors who, the front half of 2021 from January to June, it really was kind of like a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Right? Is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde?
I think it's right? Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Is that what you said?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Okay, yeah, then you're right.
Sort of a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde type deal where the front half of basically, I guess you could say Q1 of 2021, we were still in that red hot surge, and then that market correction coming down around April, May-ish is when we really started feeling it. And, a lot of market corrections, a lot of base cards coming down, things like that. People saying, oh, the market's gone, blah, 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 all that stuff. I think the National will be a really, really good measuring stick moment to see, where some of these prices are going to start settling to, especially on bigger ticket cards. I mean, the NBA Finals will be over, so that'll be interesting. I mean, there is a hockey market there. Football will be ramping up. Training camp, preseason, all that stuff will be ramping up big time. So that speculation, all those storylines sort of play into it. That's right around the time that the National will be heating up. And another thing is this is going to be the first National that we're going to see that we're going into with a very robust and popular soccer market. I don't think in years past the National, the soccer market has ever really been as popular, has ever really had the sort of momentum it's had. And we're going to be coming off a Euro Cup cycle. We're going to be going into a World Cup cycle. You're going to see CONCACAF qualifying for North America, a lot of other World Cup qualifying throughout the fall and winter into the early spring. Before the tournament's not until next winter, remember. It's not going to be in the summer. So the schedule kind of got pushed back a little bit, which I think helps because there's a lot of football being played by a lot of club and country over the past 12 to 18 months post-COVID.
On that note, do you think soccer is poised to maybe take precedent as like the main sport at this convention? Are people going to be all eyes on it, or what do you think is going to be the main look?
So I don't know if it's going to have all eyes on it. I certainly think that in the last 4 to 6 months or so, a lot more eyes globally have opened up to the soccer market, particularly because, I mean, the thing you see with soccer products is prior to 1920 and this last 2021, we'll take Topps Chrome Champions League, for example. Prior to that, the print runs were very small because soccer cards weren't as heavily collected. They weren't produced nearly as much as basketball, as football. I can't really speak to hockey. I haven't checked the pop reports on hockey in a while. But in terms of the major sports, they're without a doubt the lowest print run going back a year or so. So that, I think, that scarcity, I think, helps the market because, you look at things like, certain refractors, numbered cards, autographs, they are all truly short printed. There were not, 10,000 Cristiano Ronaldo autographs printed or Lionel Messi autographs printed, even guys like Harry Kane, you don't see a giant flooded marketplace of soccer cards and tons of base rookies and things like that. So it's a much more refined space in terms of the pop reports. We'll even take the Portuguese player João Felix, the 21-year-old wonder kid. His 1819 Topps Chrome Refractor PSA 10, which I have a few of, that pops under 90. So that's a almost 3-year-old product, and one of the marquee rookies to hunt out of there. Their refractor at a 10 is still in double digits for pop. So I mean, that alone, that kind of gives you an idea of where that market's at. I don't think it'll take precedent because I still don't think it's big enough in America. It's got a lot of traction overseas. You see a lot of people, a lot of Asian markets, the European markets, even some of the African markets you see on a lot of these forums and in different groups, participating in these different soccer groups. I do think it's rising at a very, very big rate. And I think the World Cup and the fact that the U.S. men's team has a really strong team going into World Cup qualifying does ramp up some of that excitement for the sport in America. But I don't think it's going to take precedent. I think football takes precedent for two reasons. One, because the season's going to be right around the corner. And two, because it's going to be off seasons for basketball. So a lot of people are probably going to be looking to, sell off a lot of their basketball cards and start making that shift into the football space. Football, you really do see it's so funny. Talking to people the last season, football when it's played, you see so much more volatility because it's only one game a week. So you see those sort of peaks and valleys in card prices a lot quicker, and it's a lot more common than in basketball, in my opinion, from what I've seen. So I think given it's the last week of July. Preseason games are coming right up. The season's, 35, 40 days away from us having NFL action every single Sunday. I'm saying, man, I think football will take precedent. And the other thing, too, is you look at the rookies that are, that came out last year between Herbert, Burrow, Tua, Jalen Hurts, and now Trevor Lawrence coming out. There's so many quality quarterback prospects. Not that they've all developed yet. I mean, outside of Herbert and Burrow, who I think everyone will agree once Burrow comes back, did show themselves. I think both of them are the real deal. And I think it's pretty much widely considered Trevor Lawrence will be the real deal, given everything that he did at Clemson. I think the amount of key rookies, and particularly quarterbacks, obviously, in the last two draft classes will really drive and get people really revved up at the National. I think once people start seeing, some of the displays and some of the awesome pieces that are out there for those key rookies, I think people will really start to kind of catch that fever. And it wouldn't surprise me if you started to sort of feel the buzz and kind of like see in different Facebook groups, see on different card groups, blowout forums, wherever, see a lot more chatter about people just really getting excited about football just because there's so much young talent coming out. And like I said, the National Card Convention is it's one of those shows where it really does establish a lot of market precedents, which is good. I mean, it's good. It's gonna be really fun to see, how many people are out there, how many people are buying and selling, and it's supposed to be the largest attended national ever. They're anticipating, so I'm very excited. Any of you guys who are going out to Chicago at the end of the month, feel free to message the page. We'd love to meet up some of the people who are watching the show and link up together for sure. Yeah. With that, with that, why don't we head over to a quick little bit. What's lit with producer Mitch? This is our segment in the show where I get to take a 2-minute break. Mitch, why don't you fill us in on things going on in your world? For those who need to know, my younger brother Mitch and producer is a avid cigar enthusiast and esports enthusiast. So take us through what's the last nice cigar that you've smoked? What's the last thing you've had lit up that really tickled your fancy, Mitch?
Well, I'll tell you what. Okay, I need to get this title right because it's very complex. It's the Nat Sherman 2019 limited edition. Oh man, I'm gonna blank on this now. It's a 2019 limited edition, the last run that they're doing of a new cigar product ever. So I smoked the first one of a box of 5 that I got here, and it was pretty great. It was a pretty luxurious experience. I'm not gonna lie. It's smooth.
Take us through your review process. First third, middle third, final third.
First third is great.
It was Nat Sherman limited edition. What?
It was a limited edition 2019. I'm blanking on the full name of the product.
That's not Drew Estate that owns them, is it?
No. That Drew Estate is someone different. Drew Estate is.
I know that's like Acid and all them. I didn't know if I thought Nat was owned by Drew Estate too.
No. Different companies. So they're both American based, but yeah, Drew Estate is there with Acid, and you're right. They, I believe, are under the same parent company as Swishers now. They got bought out.
Swisher Sweets! Yeah. Swisher Sweets!
Yeah, absolutely. It kind of sold out on that one, to be honest.
The thin cigarello of every high school junior from here to California. That's
what was the other
Swisher
one?
Sweet.
What was the other one? Like the White Owl, right? That was great.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something right here. I've smoked an embarrassingly large amount of White Owls in my day. An embarrassingly large. My first cigar. I was gonna say my first cigar ever was a $2 peach White Owl from a gas station over by Kennedy Park and Fall River that I smoked with Jordan Medeiros and Sean Frias on the brick wall of Kennedy Park overlooking the Taunton River. So shout out Sean and Jordan.
What a scene that is.
What a scene! I'm saying. In Sean's lime green Volkswagen Golf, we rolled right up with 3 White Owls and just kicked it in Kennedy Park like the absolute ridiculous white boys we are. But that's, I mean, looking back, my God, just what do you think the difference is in a process between rolling a White Owl and rolling, like, let's say your Nat Thurman? Like, how quick you think they just bang out White Owls?
I mean, they're the White Owls and Swishers and the blunt wraps and all those are all just, they're machine rolled, you know, so it's not
of course, yeah.
It's not as involved, so it's more like a bunch of tobacco on a conveyor belt sort of deal. But the Nat Sherman is nice though. The basic review process, I just sort of I toasted up. It's now owned by Fergio. Okay, Alex Agarian, I'm sorry for butchering your last name, now says that Nat Sherman is now owned by Ferio Tego.
Oh, Alex, what's up, buddy? What's up? Thanks for tuning in. Oh, good insight.
That is good insight. That's good. That's
nice.
nice.
I didn't know Alex was a cigar guy. Alex, we're going to have you over for a little stogue and a scotch, I think.
Maybe it'll be a whole segment. We just smoke a whole cigar on the show now.
I mean, don't pull my arm, man. That would be nice. Have all the viewers just kind of hop in, everyone light up a cigar of their choice, and then live stream the experience as we're going. I kind of like that. I'm not going to lie. Shit, we should just do that regularly anyway. But
I agree. I'd be down.
Excellent.
Be kind of tough in the studio though to get a little.
We can do an outdoor segment for that. We'll do
Gotcha.
outdoor segment. Not set
We'll
off.
cut to the outdoors.
Yeah, we'll cut to the outdoor cam. we'll just set up. We'll set up a couple separate cameras outside, and we'll just hard cut right to the outdoor cam. But that's good stuff. That's good stuff. So yeah, shout out Alex. Thanks for hopping on and watching, buddy. Mitch, how about esports? What's new in the world of esports? I know that's a big emerging market. It's a shit ton of money in esports, huh? I was looking at
a shit ton.
There's a shit ton of money, dog.
That's an understatement, I think, man. It's a crazy industry. It's like it's in the Wild West stages still, where a lot of people are making a lot of money, making a lot of bad decisions, and it's crazy, man. The stuff that is happening in that scene is wild.
So like, do you know how to like for instance, like you said, like baseball, hockey, basketball, there's developmental leagues, and there's college and farm systems in baseball where you can scout young talent. So I guess how would, like, if we had the two-way takes esports team just for shits and gigs, right? How would we go about scouting? Like, how do you go out and scout like these young nasty video game players? Do you have to look and just see guys who stream and who are just really good at these games? Like, how does that process work? Because there's teams, right? There's full-blown esports teams, correct?
Absolutely, yeah. Basically, the process would be you would go around to every house with a basement and just check for the nerd. Yeah, exactly. Right. But no, for real though, it's much different. I feel like a lot of high schools and colleges now are actually doing um, like collegiate teams and sponsorships and things like that for students that attend to just play video games. It's either a class or
That is
part of
wild.
courses.
Wild.
Absolutely.
So it's becoming a not collegiate, like a scholastic sport per se.
I don't know if it's at that level just yet. Maybe
Like
more
clubs-
like
clubs, you
intramural. Yeah, maybe like intramural, like club stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe somewhere along those lines is where it's at the moment. But aside from that, you'd probably want to scout and like, I don't know. There's a lot of official like ladders where you could see rankings for different players in whatever game they're playing, whatever game you want to have a team in.
Right.
So that's probably the avenue to get in there. A lot of good people out there. A lot of people in mom's basement playing video games in the COVID era. You know what I mean? So
Oh man, yeah.
it's crazy.
I imagine with COVID, a lot more people staying home. That interest and that popularity, and I couldn't tell you the first thing about organized esports. That's why we have you on the show to touch in, 'cause we touch them all here. Touch them all.
We're touching them right now. Here we go. I'm gonna give you a quick rundown of the stuff happening this week as well.
Give me a purse. What's the biggest prize purse for an esports tournament? Give me something that anyone watching can kind of relate to here.
Well, the Intel Extreme Masters is a Counter-Strike tournament going on in Germany right now.
Okay.
And the prize pool, I believe, is set at 927,000 USD for the.
So call it a mil.
Call it a mil, right?
We'll call it $1 million.
Yeah, we'll call it a mil.
That's already way higher than I would have anticipated. Way
Oh,
higher. Now is that's spread out? Is it kind of like golf? Where like golf, you'll have like your purse for the tournament. First place gets so much, then it's tiered down.
Yeah, exactly, right. It's a
so
pretty top-heavy spread.
Okay.
Where like I think first place gets like half of the purse, and then it's
Right.
divided evenly among the rest.
Okay,
But
makes
the
sense.
thing with the Intel Extreme
Still an
Masters,
assload of money, man.
yeah, absolutely. The Intel Extreme IEM, they do kind of like this series of events. So they have 4 or 5 events a year, and I think if you win 4, it's called a Grand Slam, and you get a bonus.
It's like the majors in golf or tennis.
Right, yeah, you get an extra $1 million bonus just for your team if you win those 4 tournaments.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. It's a
So
good
what
pay.
you're saying is we need to start the two-way takes esports team. Is basically what you're saying. Is we're gonna have to write a
I wouldn't be
fat-ass check
opposed to.
from all the major sponsors that we have lining up for this show and write a giant check.
Absolutely.
For two-way takes esports team. That's pretty much what I'm gathering from there. But okay, well, what's lit with producer Mitch? Thank you so much for that. We're gonna have to dive into that more. You got my curiosity. I need to know how these people are making 6 figures playing video games. That's got to be.
Oh, I'm not
very
even talking about streaming yet, man. It's just tournaments.
Oh, I know streaming across the board, streaming and podcasting across the board. I can only imagine when you couple those those different industries together, it's got to be lucrative money. But yeah, that's some good insight from producer Mitch, our cigar and in-house esports expert. Every week coming at you, what's lit with producer Mitch. So let's go into a little buy or sell, Mitch.
Wow, hold on. Before we go to buy or sell, I just
Okay.
want to pump the brakes real quick. Alex is not only a cigar guy, but he knows Dota as well. I was going to comment.
Really?
Yeah, he says
Ow.
he thinks Dota has the biggest purse in esports, and that's definitely true with their tournament, the International, and I forget what's going on right now. It's called Beyond the Summit, actually. That's a big purse as well. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there. Alex is he's a man of many talents or many interests.
low key interviewing for an assistant producer spot on the show right now. Low key, Al, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. Oh man. Okay, so Al's gonna need to hang out and smoke a stogie and chop it up on the video game front. I think a little bit.
Absolutely.
But very nice. Appreciate you chipping in there, Alex. Mitch, why don't you take us into a little bit of buy or sell?
All right, let's start it off. Dak Prescott, is he the comeback player of the year?
Ooh, okay. I mean, what other candidates are there? I don't really know what other candidates there are, and given that I'm gonna buy it specifically because I think even with a so-so season, I say so-so. I mean, I think he he really needs 23. I'll say 23 touchdowns, 23 touchdowns and 4,200 yards plus. I think gets him there. I think anything less than that has to be a severe disappointment for him. And Cowboys fans, if I'm being honest, specifically because of he just signed a $160 million extension.
He's got to live up to that for sure.
So, I don't think you can go less than 23 touchdowns. You're looking at 2 touchdowns a game. 23 passing touchdowns, I should say. He should be able to run in a couple too. He's got, assuming depending on how that leg is. But I think anything less than 23 touchdowns and 42 to 4,400 yards, anything less than that, I don't know. I think he's still so young, and like I said, that extension, I'm gonna buy it, but I'm gonna buy it with that asterisk that he has to. There's kind of like a baseline that he has to perform there for it. But I'll buy it. I'll buy it because I'm not. I like Dak. I don't love Dak. I don't love the money he was commanding, but I like him. And I like the Cowboys' offense. I think Zeke has a bounce back year. CeeDee Lamb looked really good. They have weapons. They have weapons there, so I'll buy that.
All right. Do you think 35 points from Giannis is enough to lead the Bucks to a win tonight?
35, I think. I'm gonna say he needs a hair above that. So I will sell only because I think he needs more like. I know it's kind of splitting hairs. I think he needs like 38. I think he needs just under 40. I think he needs a 38 or 39 point win. 35 might be enough, but for me to buy it, if that line was 38, I'm buying it. I think like a 38, 39 point night is really what you need out of him for a win, unless Drew Holiday or Chris Middleton decide to go absolute banana land. And that game should have already tipped off, 9-19, so that game should have already tipped off by now, probably into just wrapping up the first quarter, maybe a little late in the first quarter. But I'll sell on that because I think he needs a little more for the Bucks to win tonight. I gotta say, super impressed that at how efficient he did look and how he did look on the floor, coming back off that hyper extension. So that was a gutsy performance from him.
I'll give you $1 if you can pronounce his last name.
Antetokounmpo.
Okay, that's $1 in the pot. N'Keal Harry, he should stay with the Pats.
Sell, man, sell. He's been such a disappointment. And man, I'm gonna open it. I'm gonna open the wound. If TB was still here, I'd say stay. But without, and this is not a knock on Cam Newton. I don't have anything against Cam Newton. I actually just watched his I Am Athlete interview over with Brandon Marshall and Ocho Cinco. It was actually really, really good. A really good look at him as a person, not a football player. But they're not going to run an offense that's conducive to what he wants to do. You look at his agent just came out and said like they would like to be traded to a system that utilizes his skills more. He's not lightning fast. He's not a super crisp route runner. So like right there, that's like kind of 1A and 1B of what you need to be successful as a Patriots wideout when you think about it. Like you got to be smart. You got to be an electric route runner. You got to be quick. He's big and he's a contested ball, like a contested ball hawk, essentially. You know what I mean? He's a big body, a big red zone target who can go fight for 50-50 balls against undersized corners. That's not really the type of game that the Patriots really have ever played. Even when you look back, like to having like Randy Moss on the team. Even Moss was one of the best route runners in NFL history, so he might even not be a great example. But I'm gonna sell because there's just not a style of play that I can see the Pats putting in this season that's going to be conducive to what he wants to do. Like he doesn't want to get into the trenches. He doesn't want to go over the middle and run, these little dig routes, these in routes, these hard slants and pick up those 4 or 5 yards and get hit by linebackers and stuff. He doesn't seem like that type of guy. To be honest, like his health concerns over the last couple of years don't really show that he can be that type of guy, even if he did want it to be. So I'm selling that. I'm selling him staying with the Patriots.
All right. Up next, I'm going to butcher this name so bad. Shohei Ohtani will win the home run derby.
Yeah, perfect.
Oh, hell yeah.
Will win the home run. He's the odds-on favorite. The guy's, what a freak MLB season he's had. What an absolute free, like legit Babe Ruth numbers. Like as a pitcher and at the plate, like absolutely. Why? I mean, he's got to be the runaway favorite. Especially, it's in Coors Field. They're going to be in like the paper thin air of Colorado, just absolutely belting balls out. I want to buy it, but there's something. I'm pretty sure Pete Alonso is also in the field as well. He's the defending champ. That guy loves to just swing for the fences, man. That guy just loves to absolutely beat down a ball. I'll buy it. I'll buy it. I'll buy it just for the story. I mean, he's having such a historic season. I guess why wouldn't he win the home run derby? And it's in Colorado. Yeah, I'll buy it. I'll buy him as the home run derby winner. I'll take that.
All right, what about this one here? Aaron Rodgers, still playing for the Packers this year. Starting.
Aaron Rodgers on the Packers. I'm going to buy because I think if a trade was going to be made, I think it would have been made already. And I don't know if that's the front office sort of playing super strategy and making sure that his trade market just grew lower and lower, or shrunk lower and lower, I should say. I mean, the closer you get to the season, I mean, the smaller your trade market's going to get. You know, teams are going to fill out their rosters. They're going to go out get who they need so that they can have a full training camp, a full preseason with their starters. The more interesting question, I think, would be, I mean, is he going to take the field? I mean, I think he'll be rostered by the Pack. I don't think they trade him. I think it's already too late. I think it would have happened. I mean, the guy, I can't see them making a move at this point. So I'm going to buy that he's going to be the Packers guy. I think Rodgers blinks first eventually. 'Cause the only other thing he can do is pull a Carson Palmer and sit out the whole year, which I don't think that happens. I'll buy that.
McGregor and Poirier ends in a knockout on Saturday.
Okay. Oh, that's actually gonna be a really fun fight too. I'm gonna sell because I don't think I'm gonna sell specifically because of McGregor. I don't think and I think McGregor knows he cannot take another L. Because that's going to significantly hurt him in terms of a pay-per-view draw. I think McGregor needs to win this fight a lot more than Dustin Poirier does. And I think it will go to decision. I don't think it'll go to knockout. Because if you look at the last fight, Poirier basically assaulted McGregor with kicks. Like, just assaulted him. You have to believe McGregor's camp is coming in saying, like, I mean, it was ridiculous. I mean, McGregor was staring at him like a deer in the headlights every time he landed one of those kicks to his thigh or, you know, kind of like mid-torso or whatever. So you have to think McGregor's going to have a better plan in terms of the striking and be able to. I think if it does end in a KO, I think it'll go McGregor's way. But I really don't think. I think the fight will go the distance because McGregor, I think, cannot lose. I think he knows he can't lose this fight. Because it's really going to damage him in terms of like a pay-per-view draw. And that's where he's at in his career right now. I think he knows that, you know, the fights he does have left in him or that he wants to take in him need to be, you know, high-paying. Like, he's never going to be an undercard. He's never going to take an undercard fight, obviously. Again, he's not really actively on that circuit. So I think he knows he needs to maintain that, you know, high-level, high-pedigree pay-per-view draw. And I think he knows the safest way to do that is to try and outclass Poirier, maybe take him to the ground. I mean, I know it didn't really work that well in the Diaz fight, but I mean, he's more of a striker. I think he'll have a better plan to deal with Poirier's kicks in this fight. I think it goes the distance. So I will sell that. I will sell the KO.
Got a quick comment on that from Dave Pelletier.
Pell, what's up, buddy?
The over-under is 1.5 rounds. So if it goes the distance, I mean, it's a must-bet, he says.
Yeah, I take the over. I bang the over on that, Pell. I know Pell's a big UFC guy, more so than I, but particularly like the bigger fights, the bigger marquee fights, I'll keep an eye on. But yeah, I would agree. I would take the over on that, Pell. I think it goes the distance. I can't see McGregor falling into that trap again. I mean, Poirier literally, if you go back, I wish I printed out the stat. There was a stat that showed the amount of kicks and the amount of strikes that Poirier landed in relation to McGregor. And McGregor is more of a guy who does his damage striking versus obviously grappling and going to the ground. So it was really interesting to see that Poirier kind of took that level of the fight to him. I have to believe McGregor and his camp are going to game plan for that. They're going to game plan more of a methodic, more of a technical kind of grind it out is the wrong term. I just can't get the correct term to kind of bring it to the forefront right now. But I have to believe that they're going to plan for that and not let that same game plan be as successful for Poirier in the fights.
We've got a couple questions here from the chat, and we also have a few minutes before the 2-minute drill kicks off. So
well, what do we got?
Another one from Dave. He this is an exact quote. Dave asks, "Do you like both teams to score in the first half in Brazil v Argentina at plus 475?"
Oh, little Copa America. Oh man. So what's weird is Argentina was surprisingly not that impressive against Colombia in the semifinal match. I think Brazil's been absolutely electric. I would say no, only because I feel like the first half of that game is going to be it's in Brazil. So I'm just thinking of how, game flow wise that comes out. You got to think Brazil's going to ride the home crowd. They're going to kind of ride, just sort of trying to take the game to Argentina. Maybe Argentina sits back just a touch. They let Messi try and facilitate a little bit and create and sort of possess the ball, take some of the air out of the Brazilian fans, take some of the air out of that stadium, out of the Brazilian side. I think it could get a little cagey and a little dicey too in that first half, a little chippy here and there, where if it gets chippy early, I definitely don't think they both score in the first half because I think it just kind of throws them off that mental game. So I'll say no. I'll say no, don't like them to score. Don't like both teams to score in the first half. But I think it's going to be an excellent game. It's going to be a really fun one to watch. So, and I am shamelessly pulling for Messi too. I would love to see him win some hardware with Argentina.
Just got another one here from Mr. Jamie Wright. He asks if there's a particular Grail card for soccer at the moment.
So I guess it depends who you're a fan of. I mean, the 03-04 Mega Crack Ronaldo, that's a big one. 04 Messi, his Barca rookie. Those are probably 1A, 1B right now. I mean, you go further back to, I think it's like, there's a Pele rookie, like I think it's the 67 Panini. It's either Calciatore or 67 or 63. I mean, that's a big one, but those are basically impossible to find in immaculate condition. I would say modern day, I mean, you're looking at the Mega Crack rookies from, Ronaldo and Messi. Those would be the modern day grails. I mean, if step down just to kind of like tear it out a little bit, I think you could look at their 2006 Panini World Cup cards. Those are very, very tough to find PSA 10s of, and also really clean looking cards. I'd say that would be like a nice, cheaper alternative for each of the GOATs.
All right. You know what time it is.
2-minute drill.
Time for the 2-minute drill.
Let's get it. Should be a quick one this week, right?
It is. It's a pretty quick one. It's only a few things here. Are the Pats a 10-win team this season?
Oh, God. Kills me to say it, but no. At best, 9-7.
It's a shame that we're even saying that.
I know.
That's a question.
I know. We live in the world where the first question on 2-minute drill has to be, are the Pats a 10-win season?
God,
and I don't really see it. I just don't, man. I see 8-8 or 9-7.
Does Luka Doncic lead Slovenia to a medal in the Olympics?
Give me a hell yeah!
Hell
yeah! I'm pulling for Luka.
Gotta bring that card value back up, huh?
It's gone, baby. I sold that.
Ooh. All right, and lastly, who wins the Euro final on Sunday?
It's coming home. I'll take England. Just because. Why wouldn't they make me look like an idiot one more time for betting on them? Why wouldn't they? I'll take England. They've looked. If either team has all their shit together in the final game and it's England, like if one of the two teams has it together and England has it, or if both teams have it together and they're clicking, England's the better side. I think they have just enough of that extra little bit of attacking capability, and also without someone like Spinazzola for Italy, who I can't remember if he ruptured his meniscus or tore his ACL in the semifinal or the quarterfinal rather. Without him on that wing side, he's an excellent defender out wide who could have defended someone like Saka, who could have reduced some of the runs from Sterling, or if Sancho comes in the game, etc. Without him, that could be a game breaker. I'll take England.
All right, that's it. That's the show.
That's the show. That is the show. Thank you guys for joining us here on episode 2 of Two-Way Takes. Really hope you guys enjoyed. And we'll be back with you next Thursday at 8:30. Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Have a good weekend, everybody.